Where did I get these expectations from, and why do I expect this man or this woman to look a certain way or be a certain way? Hey, what's going on, family? It's Coach Michael B, and I'm back with another awesome video. Now, I just want to talk about something today that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. You know, I've been coaching a few of my clients, and I see this issue is amongst men and women. It's not just a one-sided biased thing. And I want to answer a question in this video that I know many of you probably have inquired about, and that question is, are my expectations too high? You know, you may be in a relationship right now, you may be married right now, or you may be planning to date. But somewhere along those lines, you have thought about how you want the person that you're dating to be. And we have to be very, very careful when we are trying to make him or her become what we think they should be, rather than letting them grow into who they need to be. Now, many of y'all do not know that I've been married for 8 going on 9 years. And it's a lot of things that I started off thinking about my wife and how she should be at the very, very beginning of our relationship. And I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of those things were just very, very unrealistic, because you have to think about something. When you're dating somebody, when you're talking to them, they come from a whole different background. They come from a whole different set of values that had nothing to do with little old you at all. A lot of you right now who may be in a relationship or planning to be in a relationship already have somebody in your head mentally of who you want the person of the opposite sex to be. And I know that this is a current struggle because of how social media is set up, how the movies are set up, and just how different things are set up. They all have an effect on how you view relationships. And I can honestly say, before I met my wife, I was already previously dating. And the reason why I hopped from woman to woman was because I wanted what I wanted. And this woman may have this. This woman may have that. And so I was never satisfied, because I tried to find everything I wanted in one woman, and that was just not going to be possible. So we really have to be careful of having a mental husband or a mental wife or a mental boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever you want to call it. We have to be careful of making a mental significant other, because then what happens is, when you finally do get into that relationship, now you're putting unrealistic expectations on a person. That person needs time to grow. They need time to be able to turn into the person that God wants them to be, not who you want them to be. Because let's say, for instance, if they finally do turn into the person that you desire them to be, okay, that can backfire on you easily. And this is what I see that happens a lot of time with men and women. You have to understand that your standards are not your preferences. And I got a video, if you want to go ahead and check that. I don't know how many videos I made back, but it's a video that I made talking about dating intentionally versus dating with preference. You have to understand that your standards are not your preferences. You have to understand, okay, so what if he or she may be big right now? That's not to say that later on down the line that they won't lose the weight. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times we have to really take that pressure off of the relationship early on, because more time you are spending trying to make this person who you want them to be, once again, the mental husband, mental wife, mental boyfriend, mental girlfriend, the more time you spend on making them who you have in your mind, the more time you miss out on things you need to be paying attention to. Because that can backfire on you. Like I said before, you can turn them into everything that you want them to be. And I kind of like to look at this as like being Frankenstein, where you are trying to piece together a person rather than accepting that person as a whole. So this one right here may have the mind, so I want him or her to have this mind. Or I like this shape, so I want them to have this shape. I want them to wear this size shoe, so I'm gonna put this size shoe. And now you got this perfect person in your eyes, but the person is still broken. Now I want you to catch on to what I just said. You still have a whole person, but that person is still broken. So you're so busy on trying to make him or her, you really did more damage than you have good. Now you've put stress on them. Now you made them feel that they have to do all these things and be all of these things to be with you. And I ain't gonna lie to you, ain't nobody watching this video right now got room enough to tell somebody what they need to work for. Now that doesn't mean that you are not significant, and that doesn't mean that you don't need to hold yourself to a certain place, but you just have to be honest with yourself. Nobody has to feel they have to be a fake person in order for you to love them, or in order for you to progress with them and be with them. And I can tell you right now, with 8 years of marriage, I can tell you a lot of things. I first started off wanting my wife to do certain things every week. I wanted her to keep her hair up. I wanted her to do this. Not saying that she didn't want to do those things, but I wanted it to be done on my terms. I didn't allow myself to really see her heart. I didn't allow myself to see what she possessed as a person, but I saw what I wanted to see, and I allowed that to overpower who she was. And the worst thing that anybody can do when they are dating or they're in a relationship is not be able to see what a person truly possesses. We really have to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves the serious question: where did I get some of these expectations from? Because like I said earlier, standards are not preferences. You see, preferences and expectations pretty much are like almost the exact same thing, depending on how you look at it. Now, you can have expectations. You expect them to have a job. You can expect them to have things going for themselves. Those things are fine. You can expect them. But what I'm trying to say is, don't allow your expectations to be so high where you cannot take a person from where they are and allow them to be transformed into something that you never thought they can be. A lot of times we never give people enough time to blossom to their full potential. So right now, if I plant a seed that's for an orange tree, and I know this tree gonna grow into an orange tree, but then I plant that seed and the tree start growing all funny. The tree growing funny, it's growing crooked, it ain't growing the way I want it to grow. So I end up cutting it at the root. I pluck it up and I plant another one. That one don't go right. It don't grow right as well. I'm plucking that tree up again. You see what I'm saying? So I keep planting seeds, but what I'm failing to realize is, although I'm planting that seed, it doesn't matter necessarily how the tree grows. I want the end result, which is the fruit. I want the fruit from what the tree is going to produce. And during the process of that tree getting to the phase where it can produce fruit, I have to spend time with that tree. I have to help cut, split branches off the tree. I have to do specific things. I have to fertilize the soil and make sure I'm watering it. I have to make sure I'm investing time into it. I'm not putting unrealistic expectations, because in the back of my mind, I know this tree is going to blossom oranges. It's not going to blossom apples. I planted an orange seed. And we have to know that when we're spending time with the person and we're talking to them, they will eventually become who they need to be for you and not what you want them to be. Because as long as you're saying, I want them to make $100,000 a year. Now, you want him or her to make $100,000 a year, but you around here driving the 2002 Honda Accord, and you still in college, you still trying to the expectations have to line up also with where you are. Because that happens a lot of times too. You cannot expect to receive something that you are not willing to put out, because you got to understand that that person has specific expectations as well. And this is one thing that I see with a lot of men and women. But first, I want to deal with the women on this aspect. What I see a lot of women do is, when they're with this man, they kind of end up cultivating this man to be, because what a lot of men do, when they find a woman who they want to be in a relationship with, there's just some men, they really want to be with her, they will start to kind of conform. But most of the time, it's out of pressure. It's pressure. A lot of men feel they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders to be what this woman wants them to be. So this can backfire on you, and think about this. He can become everything that you want him to be, and he can use that against you. But what if one day all this, so he finally washing the dishes when they need to be washed, he taking the trash out, he doing all this stuff, he makes sure all these things are done. But what if one day he just says, I'm tired of doing it all. I feel like it's too much on me. I'm tired of doing it all. And he decides to up and leave because he feels there's been too much pressure. Now, he hasn't verbally said this to you, because a lot of men are not really verbal. They'll internalize a lot of their pain, a lot of different things, and you spending time on trying to change him rather than really find out how his heart is conditioned. And it's not to excuse a man and say that that's excuse for him doing that, because as a man, you should be willing to open up and talk about your issues. But what I'm talking about right now is how the pressure can begin to build up on him, because men are naturally already built to want to provide, want to be protectors. These are things that men are naturally created to do. So when they have extra pressure on their shoulders, on top of the things that they don't express because they're not really verbal, now you've created more of an issue for him. See what I'm saying? So you have to take time to get to know him as a person, and then you'll eventually see him open up to you over a course of time, depending on how you go about things. Now, I'll make another video about communication and all those different type of things, but right now we just want to stay on task with dealing with how we perceive a person and how our expectations are set up to make a person become what we want them to be. And with men don't really have too many expectations. Their only expectation is just for you to show up. That's pretty much it. Just for you to show up. Now, some men may have certain expectations that they want more. They don't want a woman with a flip mouth or whatever it may be. They may have their own set of things that they want. But even with that, from the men's side, they have to understand that some women, they just have flip mouths. Some women, they just talk, they just affirm like that. Because this was another thing when I first met my wife. I noticed my wife, she was very, very firm with how she would say things. And I had to really check myself a couple times, because I'm like, man, bro, you just really overreact. That was just the way she communicated. But I had came into the picture thinking that she needs to be the soft-spoken. Oh, how do you want your eggs? You want your eggs scrambled? You know, and stuff like that. My wife like, you want your eggs scrambled, or do you want them like that? You know what I mean? She's not rude or condescending with how she's saying stuff, but she's just straight to the point, and she just talks how she talks. She just very firm with how she speaks. And she has gotten a lot better with it. Now, I hope she ain't watching this video, because she may have YouTube take this video down or something like that. But for the most part, she has grown a lot. But that was not on my timing. That was because I had to sit back and get to know her as a person. Know different things. Ask her questions, you know, because what you don't realize is you may be the door to help this person overcome something that once was a deal breaker for you. So you may talk to them about them not picking up their dirty clothes out the middle of the floor. And they may say, well, you know what? I never really thought about that. But I remember when I was younger, my mom never really had an issue with me throwing my clothes on the floor, so I just always throw them on the floor. With them not wanting to watch this or whatever it may be, you may come to find out that that's something that they learn. Because you got to think about this. Y'all might have been together for going on 15 years. 15 years still is not enough time to take up for how long this person was without you. So y'all might have been together 15 years, but what about the other 15 or so years that they grew up in a specific household? They had a group of standards that they were raised with. They had a certain mindset according to how they were raised. That stuff has to be taken into consideration, because we can be our own worst enemy sometimes. We're like, oh, they doing this and they doing that to me. They ain't doing nothing to you. That's just how they've grew up. Now, as you two begin to grow and date intentionally and communicate, then you'll begin to see that this person is what you wanted the whole time, but you just didn't know it. Because we don't know what we need as people. We don't know what we need. Every day, things change about us. One day we like this, next thing you know, we like that. That's just how humans are conditioned. Change is inevitable. As you begin to get older, you're going to change. Your mindset is going to change. Your view is going to change. How you approach things is going to change, or at least it should. Those things are going to happen. We have to be careful of what we are allowing to be relationship examples to us. Just because you see it on some of them TV shows, them reality shows, those type of relationships, you may see how it looks and you may be like, well, I like how they interact with each other. I'm going to tell you right now, behind the scenes is something that you have not seen. You have not seen everything that happens behind the scenes. If it's on TV and you seeing how it's kind of dysfunctional looking, just imagine how it is behind the scenes and some of the scenes that they cut out and they edit. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know. And so we have to be careful of other people's relationships who we are admiring, and just the stuff that we are allowing ourselves to absorb on a day-to-day basis. If you want to learn more about how to be effective in relationships and things like that, look at more videos. Look at my YouTube videos now. And begin to look at more videos to help you renew your mind. Because I'm really big on mindset. If you can renew the way you think, you can begin to change your mind and how you approach things. But first, you have to be open to it. I know there's going to be many of y'all ain't going to agree. Y'all going to be, well, I think it should be like this, and I don't think that should be. And you, come on now. Come on. Now, if you want what I'm saying, I've been married 8 years, going on 9 years, and a lot longer to go. I've already accomplished a lot of things that I wouldn't have accomplished if I did not look at my wife in a different way. If I did not stop expecting stuff, I had to let God do it. And a lot of y'all trying to do things in your own strength rather than allowing God to change them. Your prayer needs to be every day, God, make them who you want them to be for me, not who I want them to be. Because you don't know what you want. So what if they become what you want, and then next thing you know, you want something else? Now you got a Frankenstein robot that all you got to do is pull up an app and program them to do what you want them to do on that specific day. And that's just not how it works. In life, people are not going to see things how you see them. They're not going to want to do things how you may want to do them. Now, that don't mean that y'all ain't good for each other. That does not mean that y'all are not going to work out later on down the line. That does not mean any of that. So you can take my advice and try to do things with an open mind and understand that your expectations may be a little bit too high, or you can keep going about things how you want them to go. Because remember, once again, standards are not expectations. Standards are just things that keep you protected. It's a set of values that you have vowed to yourself that you will not break, that you will not go past. Standards are for you. The standards apply to that person, but they're more thus say for you. But expectations have to deal with the other person. Now, I hope you get what I'm saying. Expectations have to deal with the other person. So if you expect something, that means you're looking towards it. Standards are going to be with you regardless if somebody come or not. You got standards that you're going to live by. You say, well, I'm not sleeping with nobody until I get married. That's a standard that you have set for yourself. Now, it affects that person, but it's something that you set for yourself. I'm not going to cuss anymore. That's another standard you set for yourself. You're not going to cuss anymore. Even when they make you feel like you want to curse, that's still a standard that you set. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just placing this in a perspective for you so that you can understand and see what I mean. And I really didn't want to make this video too long, but I just really wanted to be straight to the point and very brief. And if you got any ideas on the topics that you want me to talk about, make sure you go ahead and put them in the comments below, or you can go ahead and email me. All that will be in the description below. I do a Q&A on Instagram every Wednesday. Now I'm gonna try to stick to that and keep doing them every Wednesday, but sometimes things pop up and I may have something else that I have to do. And I'm also gonna start having some live Q&As on my YouTube channel. I know I made some videos a while back telling y'all that I got the join button on my channel, and that's just $1.99. And there's so many perks and things that comes with that. Like when we have our Q&As, you'll be one of the people who are able to comment on there. Now, people who are not a part of the Blessed and Favored family, they'll be able to view in, but they won't be able to ask any questions. That's something that you want to make sure you go ahead and do when this video is over. $1.99, you can find it up under the armrest. You can find it in the couch. You can find that in the piggy bank. You can find that anywhere. And so you want to make sure you go ahead and do that. Now, I didn't want this video to be long, but I really just felt that on my heart because there are a lot of you who are dating right now who have expectations that probably won't be met, and you're turning away a good man or a good woman based off of what you want and how you think they should be. And I can honestly tell you that if I did not have this understanding within these 8 years of marriage, I would have not have learned things from my wife that I have learned. Because you can be so busy trying to change a person till you don't realize that sometimes their differences can add value to you in a way, because God knows how he wants things to go with your relationship. Now, you need to know as well, but sometimes the things that we consider deal breakers are actually not deal breakers. They're actually blessings in disguise. So, hey, I feel like I already talked longer than what I need to. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead and hit the bell. Select all so you do not miss a thing. And until next time, fam, remember that you were created to be more than average, but you were created to be dope. See you in the next one.